Hey everyone, welcome back to another reaction video. Today we are going back a little bit to the Ruby Franke and particularly Jodi Hildebrandt story. As things have shaken out, it's become pretty clear that Jodi Hildebrandt was kind of the mastermind behind what was going on at the Franke household, that the way that she conducted therapy, and that she ran her Connections classroom, what she taught about what it meant to live as husband and wife. Obviously, a lot of that was twisted, and today we are diving into a bit of an insider perspective on that. And now I know we've already reviewed what happened with Adam Steed and some of what he has shared, and this is a video that a user on YouTube named Della Ripa Media uploaded a couple weeks back. So I wanted to take a moment to kind of review what he says and see what he says about his experience and his time in couples counseling with Jodi Hildebrandt as his therapist.
Alrighty, so the reason I am making this video is because right now there's the whole controversy with Jodi Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke, whatever her name is. And this is a topic that really hits close to home. Back in 2021 or 2022, my wife and I were going through some marital issues, and we decided that we wanted to seek counseling. So we went to our church bishop, and we asked him if he could help, kind of assist in us paying for the therapy sessions. He had a recommendation because we didn't know what counselor we might want to go see, but he ended up referring us over to Jodi Hildebrandt because...
Okay, so he's saying this happened in 2021 or 2022. So this is very recent compared to what was going on with Adam Steed. That was much earlier, I guess relatively, in Jodi's career. This is something that was just last year, maybe 2 years ago tops, and she had been continuing this pattern we now see of getting these referrals from church bishops for vulnerable couples who are seeking couples counseling, and we'll see what direction she took that in after that.
He seemed to have had a positive experience, him and his wife, with Jodi. Obviously that doesn't make sense to me, given, the conversation that we're going to be having, but ultimately this has been a very, cringeworthy type experience for me, a very uncomfortable story to follow, given the allegations that are being made against Jodi Hildebrandt and Ruby Franke, whatever her name is. So I'm digesting it one piece at a time. I may not have all the facts of the case. I may not have all the information. I'm having a really hard time going through and watching these videos by people who are doing a good job researching it, such as Annie Elise, Dr. Grande, a bunch of YouTubers who are covering the story, and I think they're doing a really good job. But I'm having a hard time bringing myself to watch and listen to the stories about what Jodi Hildebrandt has been doing to people for years. So just a little background. Basically, when my wife and I went to couples counseling, I think I was like 20. I'm going to be turning 22 this next Friday. And so it was a short time ago. We ended up going to
Something to keep in mind, he's saying he's 22 right now. When he was seeking counseling with his wife, they were around 20 years old. Again, this is a very kind of vulnerable age. For her to be able to shape how they view marriage and communication, they can't have been married long. So there was a lot of opportunity for her to get her hooks kind of into their marriage and be able to really shape how they think about things, and that could have really been to her advantage, and she really could have abused that power and that potential.
Hildebrandt at the recommendation of our bishop, and we basically we started our sessions, and I immediately felt uncomfortable with Jodi. I thought she was really weird. I felt like she definitely picked a side very early on who she was going to believe and who she was going to not believe. And
okay, this is actually really interesting because out of all of the other videos that I've seen, most former clients of hers have said that she is initially very charismatic, able to build those bonds and connections very quickly, And he's saying that right off he knew that something was off. And he seems very in tune with that she immediately started to pick a side. And as we know from the case history now, it was probably the wife's side. And especially in couples counseling, we try not to play sides. Again, we've talked about triangulation and how that's not a helpful process, where it becomes two people on one side telling one person that you're doing something wrong and you're the only one that needs to change. That's a very unhelpful process, and it tends to get couples kind of stuck in a rut when it comes to couples counseling. And so that's why objectivity is super helpful when it comes to that kind of thing. And it was clear right away that Hildebrandt was not an objective therapist.
As I am pretty dang sure a lot of you are aware of, Jodi is a man-hater. So she made me very uncomfortable, but obviously I chose to try. Now I'm going to show you the way that she structures her groups, because I think that a lot of what she does is to isolate people from their spouses, which is obvious. But then it also is a good way for her to make a lot of money very quickly because of the way that she breaks up her couples counseling sessions. So I don't know if you guys can see this. I did a poor job. But basically what this represents right here is the first session at the bottom. She has both of you guys together, both the husband and the wife. And then she breaks you off into the wife has an individual session and the husband has an individual session. And then you end up going to the men's group for the husband and the women's group for the wife. And up there at the top is a dollar sign representing Jodi making a crap ton of money for...
Yo, that is so sneaky. So first of all, for marriage and family therapists out there, you might already be shaking your heads, because a lot of times we have to, as therapists, weigh the pros and cons of doing individual sessions when you start by seeing a couple. So when we talk about the ethicality of things, if you are seeing the couple as a unit, you see the couple as your client. You're not seeing two people individually together as your client. You're seeing a system. And so when you start seeing them individually, that brings in the potential for triangulation like we talked about, picking sides, keeping secrets from one spouse from another one. And that's already some ethically shaky ground. I think there are some times when that's appropriate and the couple might even ask for that, but for that to be her go-to method is really questionable, as well as, yeah, she is making a crap ton of money off of this. So from the initial session plus 2 individual sessions, plus then they're going to groups and whatever other sessions are on top of that, that is definitely her playing that system and having her own system of making a lot more money off of a couple than she otherwise normally would be.
Well, separating you from your spouse when you're trying to do couples counseling. I was only there for 2 sessions. Like I said, I immediately felt that she was a little bit off. I had that intuition. I call it the Holy Ghost. You can call it whatever you want. And I felt like she was not a good therapist. My ex-wife, she did kind of like her for a short period of time, but after I quit after 2 sessions, and Jodi sent me a really nasty message via text, basically saying that, you know, if you want to fix your marriage, well, you're the problem, and you know, like, your wife's trying so hard and you're not trying. I'm sorry, but I initiated couples counseling in the first place. I was definitely there to try to make my marriage work.
And that's a tactic that we've definitely heard about from Adam Steed, from other people who have been involved in Jodi's form of therapy, where if someone tries to break away, she starts attacking them viciously. Say you don't care about your marriage, you don't care about your wife or your family, and that if you want things to get better, you have to come back to me. So that kind of possessiveness in a therapist is definitely problematic, and clients should always have the right to be able to say, I don't think it's working with you, I'm gonna find somebody else. But yeah, right away you can see, like, even 2 sessions in, she was already feeling very possessive of her revenue stream, I guess is what you might call it, and making sure that he doesn't leave and trying to guilt him into that. On a side note, For being like a 21 or 22-year-old when he was dealing with this, I'm really impressed by the way he was aware of his values, was not allowing himself to be influenced by the very emotional kind of vicious language that Jodi was using to try to hook him back into her scheme. So really good on him for being aware of like, hey, I'm the one who initiated counseling. I know where I stand and I know I care about my marriage. You're not going to trick me into thinking that I have to see you or else I don't care about my marriage.
And so was my ex-wife. We did what we want, like we tried. And we tried with other couples counselors after her, so just rest assured that luckily she wasn't the final straw. But she was for a lot of people. And she has split apart families. And she has manipulated people into damaging good relationships with good people. And that's what makes me mad about this is she has, well, first of all, I'm a person who wants to become a counselor. That, because of all my experiences over the last couple of years, it has made me realize that I believe, at least at this current moment in my life, that I would like to become a therapist and a marriage and family counselor or an addiction counselor or someone who helps people who are in desperate need of guidance and help.
Whoa, this is like a therapist superhero origin story right here. Like, man, good on this guy. I don't even know his name. For him to take that painful experience and to be able to say, I know how this is not supposed to be done and I want to do it better. I want to help people. I want to serve people. That is definitely a way to heal and a way to own the kind of pain and hurt that he's experienced. And man, I'm sorry, I don't know what your name is, but if you do end up watching this, best of luck on your journey as you seek to become a therapist of some kind. I think you have a lot of opportunity to do some good here with the pain that you've suffered already.
And Jodi Hildebrandt had that platform. So she not only disgraced the reputation of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Mormons, us, by, the reputation for the church is always under attack, but specifically now because of bishops often recommending their constituents. What's the word? You know what I'm saying. Their members to maybe go see Jodi. Well, first thing I want to make very clear is that the doctrine of the church does not align with the philosophy of Jodi Hildebrandt. None of the things that she's teaching, the distortion, the living in truth, basically doing whatever she wants, none of that aligns with the doctrine and teachings of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it pisses me off that people affiliate our church or me or anything that has to do. Anyway, I'm getting off topic.
He might think he's getting off topic, but I think that's an anger that is justified and an indignance that he should be feeling, because for whatever reason that these bishops have decided to align themselves with Jodi, whether they get some kind of monetary benefit or influence benefit from that, that has really adversely affected their church. And I've seen this in the comments section, people not bashing the Latter-day Saints church, but just being very concerned about the abuses that are going on there. And this is what I kind of go back to, is just that every Mormon that I've ever met has been very kind, very generous, overall very nice and loving people. And the dissonance of seeing the people that I know affiliated with a church that's getting bashed for this kind of abuse of power really bothers me, even though I'm not affiliated with that church, just because I feel for the kind of tension that they must feel that this guy's talking about. Like, she doesn't represent us, she doesn't represent our church or our faiths, our beliefs, but our bishops have made a deal with the devil and started recommending her, and that comes back to haunt the people who are practicing their faith at a micro scale.
It makes me very mad that she disrespected our church in that way, because that is not what we stand for. I have been to church for a long time, and what she teaches has nothing to do with the church. It doesn't align. But on top of that, as someone who wants to go into being a mental health professional, it upsets me very strongly that she took that trust that patients have for their counselor, and she abused that trust, and she manipulated people in ways that they may never recover from. She broke laws. She broke HIPAA. She intentionally damaged the lives of people, which is a direct violation of everything a therapist is supposed to do for their clients.
Yeah, and I appreciate him saying that too. I can see that he has empathy to be able to, even as a relative outsider to the mental health care space, to be able to see that what Jodi Hildebrandt did to the Mormon church, she's also doing to the reputation of the helping professions, where a trust is given to us as counselors, therapists, social workers, whoever. And she chose to abuse that. She chose to violate ethical principles of confidentiality, of non-malfeasance, beneficence, seeking the good and the care of the people who are trusting in her, really abusing the trust that they've given to her.
We're supposed to love them, like truthfully, deeply love them. And these are people who are vulnerable. Children are vulnerable. But people who come to a therapist saying, my marriage is hanging on by a thread. Can you help me? For you to take advantage of that position that you have in order to manipulate people is disgusting. And it hurts me to know that there are counselors out there that will do stuff like that.
Yeah, I think he makes a good point. Like, he's talking about marriages that are hanging on by a thread. And I think a lot of times the harm comes more unwittingly. Obviously, in Jodi's case, it was very intentional, very thought out, and premeditated. But as counselors who are well-intentioned, we also need to be aware of how we might be affected by the stresses of the workday, our own level of emotional burnout or compassion fatigue, and how we're managing that for ourselves. Because we are in this position where vulnerable people are relying on us, we have the potential to do harm even unwittingly, just because we decide to write off a session as like, okay, I'm just gonna mail it in this session because I'm too tired or I'm just stressed from everything else that's going on. That's why it's so important for us to be able to take care of ourselves and make sure we're at our best for our clients who are relying on us.
It did not end because of Jodi Hildebrandt, but it did suffer during those weeks because of Jodi Hildebrandt's philosophies. And so seeing her all over the internet is very frustrating to me. It's triggering. I don't like the term triggering, but I can't think of a better word to describe it. It is very triggering to see her face in every thumbnail because I'm trying to slowly digest the content and figure out, just little by little, I'm taking in this content, trying to figure out what's going on and what happened and what's going to happen. And honestly, she's not convicted yet, which means that she's innocent until proven guilty, because I believe in that flag right there. I don't even know if you can see it. The United States flag hangs on my wall, so I believe in the Constitution. And I believe in the right to a fair, reasonable trial. But I have no doubt in my mind that Jodi Hildebrandt is guilty of what everyone else is saying. Because of the experience that I had with her, her ability to do great harm to the people around her. And I do not know what psychological condition has put her in this mindset. I don't know if she's absolutely a narcissist, but I don't like to throw that term around. But something's wrong with her. And I hope she never practices any form of therapy ever again. And that's at the bare minimum, because I do think she needs to spend a significant amount of time, if not the rest of her life, in prison. She won't get life in prison, but I honestly think people like this should not be walking in the general public to hurt people. So, This is a video I've been told by people like, hey, go ahead and make a video, make a TikTok. I don't know who needs to see this, or yeah, I don't know who needs to see this, but what I will say is that there is a quote that that John Deloney, if any of you guys follow Dr. John Deloney's show, he always says that grief demands a witness, and this is something that I may not be grieving per se, but it's been a trauma in my life to realize that a person that I trusted with a part of my family's decision making, even if it was for a short period of time, it makes you question your judgment. It makes you question.
Yeah, I appreciate that he's saying that. And what I'm taking away from this video so far is really that it's about taking his experience and being able to bring that forward to serve others. This may be painful for him to film. I can see how sometimes he's struggling with his words and just really wrestling with the dissonance and the emotion that he feels about it. But to be that witness for other people who have suffered, for other people who are grieving, as they combine their voices to bring power to that, to bring out into the light what Jodi told them to keep hidden or to keep secret. That is a powerful thing. I'm so glad that he's doing this.
Your bishop. It makes you question your church, maybe. I mean, not me right now, but a lot of people, it has steered them in the wrong direction. And that is inexcusable, really. I had a few notes of what I wanted to say, so let me take a look and see if there's anything else I need to cover. But yeah, just my firsthand experience with Jodi Hildebrandt was awful. My experience seeing this all come to light has been pretty uncomfortable, I wouldn't say overwhelming. I'm going to a great therapist right now. The guy's awesome, so I'm not concerned about being taken advantage of, being manipulated, but I know there are people out there who can't find a good therapist, and I just want to let you know, please keep looking. Please keep looking.
That's a super important message. I think a lot of times as people are having trouble finding an appointment, they kind of say, well, I'll just get an appointment with somebody, and that's better than nothing. And I think what he's saying is it's worth shopping around. It's worth looking around. If you have to be with a therapist that you're not 100% gelling with for the time being, as long as they're not doing any harm to you, okay, maybe that's kind of a holdover for now, but don't get comfortable with that. Don't settle for less. And I think that's fair. And for some people, I might be that therapist that they really jive with and they really vibe with. I may not be that for some people, and I would hate for them to feel like they're stuck with me because there's nobody else out there. There are people out there. There are people who will better fit you, and I would be glad for you to find the person that best fits you. And so I've always told my clients to be very comfortable having that conversation with me, that I'm not going to take it personally, because therapy is such an individual and unique experience for each person that I can't possibly fit what every person needs. And that's why it's important what he's saying is don't settle, find the right person for yourself.
Because women and men like Jodi Hildebrandt, they're out there, and you can't let them be the reason why you don't pursue any kind of mental health care treatment, because it is important. Because there are people like me who are out there and we care. I'm not a license yet. I'll see you in 5 years or whenever I become a therapist, in school for it now. But there are people out there who care. And I hope that the church is not being questioned by people because of this. And I hope that mental health professionals that are trustworthy are still able to help people. Because if mental health is stigmatized by some people anyway, this doesn't help. So I just wanted to make it very clear that bad people like this exist, but we are obligated by our own conscience to do better and to try to make ourselves healthy. And therapy can help with that. Church can help with that. Maybe you don't go to church. It doesn't matter. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, don't pull away from the things that could benefit you because of the bad apples. I know they say bad apples destroy a bunch. Bad apples ruin a bunch. That's some quote from some Morgan Freeman movie where he's a principal. Good movie, by the way. I think it was Stand By Me. And as you can tell, I'm kind of off topic on everything. But so is our president. So maybe I'll be the next president. That's just a joke for you. But I just want to let you guys know that, yes, I am somewhat a victim of Jodi Hildebrandt. And there are a lot of victims out there who have a responsibility to do the best with the rest of their lives and to heal. And I just want to say, if anyone else is a victim, feel free to reach out to me, because to an extent, because I didn't commit to Jodi as long as a lot of people did for obvious reasons. Feel free to reach out and let me know your story. And if you feel comfortable putting your face in front of a camera, that helps. But I don't really know if I have much more to say. I'm sorry this video is kind of dragging along, but I just want people to know that this whole situation sucks. And I hope Jodi gets the maximum sentence that she can possibly get. I hope she does not have the opportunity to hurt people like this again. I have some other thoughts that are very angry, that I won't share, but, I'm definitely not rooting for Jodi right now. I'm rooting very heavily against her for obvious reasons, because nobody deserves to be treated like this by narcissistic people, and I hate to see it. So that's all I really have to say. Thank you for your time, and keep pursuing mental health and keep pursuing church. If you're a member, don't let this be the thing that knocks you off of your ladder. Keep climbing.
Wow. Like I said, this is like a therapist superhero origin story where he was hurt by a therapist, but now he's turning around and using that to fuel his motivation to journey towards being a therapist himself. Man, good on you. Like I said, I don't think you ever shared your name on that video, but good luck in your journey. I'm glad you're in school for it now, and I hope that goes well for you. I think he does bring up a good point that whatever hurt Jodi Hildebrandt has caused to both the Church of Latter-day Saints, the profession of counseling, to individuals and families where she practiced and who she worked with, I think there is some helpful scrutiny about the mental health professions in which we as counselors need to take this story and not just write Jodi off as a bad apple necessarily. She absolutely was, but also for us to have a care about, okay, what am I teaching to my clients? To be aware of the power dynamic that we wield, that we've been entrusted with a lot of power and influence, that we are trusted to do work and have conversations and provide interventions behind closed doors. So to recognize, like he said, that there are people coming to us in very vulnerable positions, and not to get a big head about that and be like, I'm so influential, I'm so powerful, I'm so smart, but to really be humble in the way that we approach that and really be about serving the families that come to us. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, as that helps our channel to grow and create more content for you all. We are doing live streams every Tuesday evening now at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much for Della Ripa Media for creating this video. I think it was sorely needed, and I'm so glad to have been able to watch it and react to it. If you're watching this, thank you for sharing your story, and again, good luck to what you are doing. And for all of you watching at home, thank you all for tuning in. I'll see you next time.